Hey everyone, welcome. In this video, I will introduce you to Google Colab. It's a free cloud-based notebook environment hosted and maintained by Google, where you can write and execute Python code. Beyond coding, Google Colab also supports presenting narratives, equations, data analysis, and visualizations, which makes Google Colab a really great and interactive platform for creating, sharing, and collaborating on computational documents. To use Google Colab, you will need a Google account with a Google Drive. And also, since it's a web-based server, you need internet connection. For more information, you can visit this link and learn more about Google Colab. The main advantages of using Google Colab is that you do not require any setup. All the commonly used Python libraries, for example, NumPy, Matplotlib, TensorFlow, these are already pre-installed. And it provides you a great collaborative work environment. Colab Notebook can be easily shared and edited simultaneously by multiple users. Also, Colab gives you free access to GPU and TPU. So if you're working with really large data set that requires computationally intensive analysis, those can be efficiently performed regardless of the computational power of your local machine. There are some disadvantages. For example, the GPU and TPU usage can be somewhat limited, especially with the free version of Google Colab. And then data can only be imported from Colab notebook storage or Google Drive storage. And this storage has some capacity. So if you're working with a big data set that exceeds those storage capacities, that can be problematic. Also, any additional libraries that require installing, that means those are not already pre-installed. So every time you connect to Google Colab Notebook, you also need to reinstall those additional libraries. Next, we'll talk about how to use Colab Notebook. Uh, First thing first, you can just search for Google Colab. And then, if you're already logged in with your Gmail account, in that case, Google Colab will also sign you to Colab Notebook using that account. And you can click on New Notebook to create a new notebook. And from the top left corner, you can rename it as appropriate. Here in this big white space, this is called the editor. And in the editor, you can add two types of cell. The first one is the code cell. The second one is the text cell. And here you can see an example of code cell. And you can try writing some sort of code, for example, print. All right. Then you can see this play button on the left. You can click on it to run this cell and print the message. And the first time you run, it's going to connect it to the runtime and then execute the code. You can also use Command or Control Enter. So the Control is for Windows user and Command is for MacBook user to run the code within the cell. If you use Alt or Enter, in that case, it will run the cell. Also at the same time, insert a new code line, a code cell immediately below it. Additionally, you can add inline comments into your code cell. And what it's telling to Python that anything on the right side of this pound sign, Python will just ignore it. For example, here in this case, you can see two examples. So this is a code cell. In the first line, I am just writing what I want to do, like printing sum of 2 and 3, and then there's my code. Also, I have another line of code here where I am asking to print the subtraction of 2 from 3. But this second line is commented out, so that means it's not gonna execute that code, and it will only execute the first line of code. Also, this code or text cell, they have two types of mode. One is edit mode and the other one is comment mode. So in the edit mode, you can just write or like edit any form of code you have or the text any content you have. In the comment mode, you can just go up and down and navigate elsewhere. So if, for example, this is a text cell, and if I double click on it, now I am currently in the edit mode of this text cell. So one thing I forgot to mention that the text cell, it uses the markdown syntax, which is a simple markup language for outlining document text or image layout and presentation format. I have provided a link with some examples of markdown syntax, and as we also move along the course, you will learn more about the markdown syntax as well. And here you can see the example of markdown syntax, like how I organized the context and formatted the contents of this text cell. Now, if I click escape, it will go to the command mode. And then also, like using these arrow signs, I can just move up and down and navigate, like place this text cell somewhere else. Next comes data importing. So as I mentioned, Google Colab cannot read data directly from local machine, and you can use the many different methods to do so, to get the data from your local machine to Google Colab or the Google Drive storages. And here, the first one is using the file upload feature. On the left sidebar, you can see this file options. And then here you can see this upload to session storage option. And if you do that, it will take you to your local machine folders, and then you can just navigate to the file that you want to upload and just upload it here. Another option is to mount the Google Drive, which means connect Google Colab to your Google Drive folder, and then you can read any content from your Google Drive folder. Then the last option here is using the file modules. So here you can use this piece of code to use the file module, and it will prompt you to select a file from your local machine. For example, if I run this code, it's asking me to choose a file from here. I can just click and navigate within my local machine, search for the file and select it and upload it here. All right, next. So some libraries are already installed, some are not. For those which are not installed, you can install it using this line of command. There's going to be an exclamatory sign, and then you can type pip install and whatever is the library name. For example, in this case, if I want to install NumPy library, which is already installed, in that case, it gives me a notification that requirement already satisfied. But for other cases, for the uninstalled library, you can just use the name and put the library name here and then install it. One interesting thing here, so Google Colab comes with a generative AI suggestion, and if you type a little bit of it, it will give you the further suggestion. For example, I just typed the exclamatory sign. It's giving me the rest of the suggestion. In that case, if I can just hit tab and then accept the suggestion here. Then next thing is runtime and GPU TPU usage. So as I already mentioned, Google Colab use their virtual machine to run the code, and runtime is the name of that Google provision virtual machine that you can use to run the code on your notebook. And for any code we're currently running, the notebook will use the default runtime specification. And to change this specification and to use GPU and TPU, you can just go through these processes, which is click on this runtime and then change runtime type, and then you can select any forms of this GPU and TPU options, and then click Save. The last thing I want to talk about is downloading and sharing the notebook. To download the Google Colab notebook, you can just navigate to this file option and then go to download and then download.ipnyb. And to share the Colab notebook, you can click the share button here, and it will ask you if you want to add collaborators and what type of access you want to give and all that. And then you can like directly send an email to that collaborator or like copy the link. All right, so that's all I have in terms of sharing the details of Google Colab. And as we go along the semester, more we practice, more we write code with Google Colab, we'll get used to it eventually. In the meantime, please, if you have any question, just let me know. Thank you.